The liver, the liver, the liver. I am beginning to see that the liver is a key to us feeling well. And I'm not talking about just, helping with a little bit of constipation or, fatigue. I'm talking about major diseases. So I started to look into a few different ailments that people in my life are dealing with, namely high cholesterol, constipation, and endometriosis. And, I'm like digging through and I'm going through research papers. I use Google Scholar a lot of the time to look up research that's been done. I'm taking in all of the, naturopathic information that I've gathered over the years. And I'm working with Claude to find out what is actually happening in the body for these diseases and other diseases. So everything seems to point back to the liver. Here's how I'm understanding, as an experimenter and participant and not a professional, how the liver works. So the liver is the exit door. The liver takes in all of the toxins that our body needs to get used to: cholesterol, unused cholesterol, old hormones, extra estrogen and testosterone, pathogens, and it goes through the liver, and then it's transported out of the body through the bile in our poop. And when the bile is actually a pretty expensive thing for the body, so the body recirculates it. So bile transports it from the liver, and then our body pulls it out and excretes it in our poop, and then the bile goes back on the other side of the highway and returns back to the liver. When the liver is sluggish, primarily when it has too much fat, it doesn't fully work well, and the bile goes slower and it's a little weaker. It's a traffic jam. And then at the bottom of the U-turn, before the bile does the U-turn on its highway, if it's weak and there's nothing there to pull the toxins out of the body, it doesn't excrete everything it needs to excrete. So when the bile does its U-turn and starts to go back up to the liver again, it has toxins still. It has all of that. It has the extra cholesterol, the built up estrogen, toxins, and that gets recirculated into the body, and it goes back to the liver, and then your liver can't process it again because now it has more cholesterol, more estrogen, etc., and it's still not, fully functioning because there's too much fat in there. So then it doesn't come out, it doesn't get transported fully with the bile and get pushed down to the system. So that's my little analogy. It's a traffic jam, basically. But when I started looking at each of these ailments, if you will, they kind of all pointed to something happening or not happening in the liver. I'm just going to go through. I made some notes. I worked, with Claude on some of this stuff after also doing much more extensive research to kind of put together this idea, this pattern. Okay, type 2 diabetes. Your liver makes sugar on its own, but when your liver's full of fat, the message doesn't get through via insulin that your body needs to stop making sugar, so it keeps making sugar that you don't need. When you can clear the fat out of the liver, then the message from the insulin gets through and the liver stops producing sugar. So again, that's where the liver is not getting the message because there's too much fat in the liver. High cholesterol. The liver is what takes the cholesterol and the extra cholesterol that we don't need, which is like a waxy substance on the insides of our arteries, and takes the cholesterol and sends it into the bile. The bile transports it and is supposed to excrete what we don't need of the cholesterol because your body continues to produce cholesterol, right? So, but if it's not getting excreted from the body, then it stays in the bile and it comes back to the liver. and then we have extra cholesterol in there, and that's when our cholesterol goes up, numbers go up. Statin drugs, a lot of people are taking statin drugs. Statin, mostly, the research says that statins help people who have already had a heart attack or stroke or something, but it doesn't help very much the people who haven't yet, because statins help your body to produce less cholesterol, but it's not helping your body to get rid of the cholesterol it already has, so it's circulating old cholesterol. So statins can be helpful, but they only work one lever of what is happening, of many levers, or many kind of issues that could be happening with high cholesterol. Heart disease, the particles of cholesterol get stuck in the artery wall, and your immune system piles up on top, and the liver is the only thing that makes those particles and the main thing that removes them. So the particles that end up turning into heart disease, that get stuck in the walls of our heart, those are only made by the liver, and almost the only thing, and the liver is almost the only thing that actually gets rid of them. So heart disease starting in the liver. Endometriosis. Endometriosis is, and the research shows this, it is an excess of estrogen in our bodies ends up creating these endometrial tissues outside of the uterus. So the liver is what takes the estrogen, pushes it into the bile transports it, and we're supposed to excrete it, but when we don't excrete the estrogen, it recirculates in our bodies. And so we have old, unnecessary, excessive estrogen in our bodies. IBS and chronic diarrhea, like a third of the people who have IBS with diarrhea, those are symptoms. Those are not, to have an irritated bowel or to have diarrhea are symptoms. It's actually an issue of bile not recycling correctly. Bloating and gut issues. Bile is antimicrobial. It's part of how our guts keeps the wrong things from moving in. So if we have sluggish bile, then we have a gut that's easier to colonize with, or imbalance, and colonize with, pathogenic bacterias. PCOS is about extra testosterone in the body. The protein that mops up extra testosterone is made in our livers. So if you have a struggling liver, then you have less of this protein that is unable to mop up the testosterone, and you have more testosterone floating around. Half of women with PCOS have a fatty liver. And the list goes on. Skin issues, psoriasis. Half of the people with psoriasis have a fatty liver. Dermatologists have a name for it now. It's called the skin-liver connection. It's in their guidelines. So anyways, I'm not diagnosing anybody. This is work that I've been doing with research papers and Claude, and I've really been diligent with Claude because, to make sure that it's giving me the right information. I went back over this with it over and over again to check things. It's not that all of these diseases are the exact same thing, but they all have something in common, and that is our bodies not being able to excrete what they need to excrete in an efficient manner, and all of that focuses around the liver. So, what clogs the liver? Sugar. Sugar is what clogs the liver. We talk about fatty liver and there being a lot of fat in our liver and fat in our arteries and everything else that cause all these clogging. No, these blockages. it's actually caused by sugar. Sugar, too much sugar in the system ends up turning into fat. So it's not that we're eating fat or that fat is causing this. It's that sugar is causing our bodies to turn it into fat. What supports like having less fat and what supports our bodies, our liver, flushing toxins or sending toxins into the bile, and our bile working smoothly without that traffic jam, and then pulling out the toxins, the extra hormones, etc., and excreting them through our poop? Fiber. Fiber is the thing that breaks that cycle and has our bodies not recirculate the toxins, but flush them out in our poop. This is why pooping on a regular schedule is so important. It's amazing. Like, this is the best #1 test that we can do, you know. And you think about it, like, we talk about babies' poop all the time. We're always looking at babies' poop. If babies' poop is really off, like, you're taking them to the doctor. You're calling your doctor to find out what's going on with your baby. Same with us. If you're not pooping regularly, and if your poop is not, in a good consistency for extended periods of time, it's telling us something. The Bristol scale is the scale that shows us what's going on with our poop. And there's some visuals online that will tell you, like, okay, if it's like more kind of cloudy and puffy, then that means that your poop, like, that you have inflammation in your body, or it'll tell you like what's going on with your body. But you want to be like a 3 or 4 on the Bristol scale regularly. Now, if you're cleansing, if you're taking certain if you're altering your body, then you, like, with doing cleanses or with supplements or things like that, your poop might be off for a little bit. Like, but then, like, when you get back to not cleansing, for instance, then we want to see our body get to like a 3 or 4 on the Bristol scale. And if not, that's totally fine, and it's pointing us in a direction to see what might be happening in the body. And I mean, it's going to be connected to what's going on in the liver. So I'm very excited to have found that, to be seeing this pattern. And again, it's part of this lens through which we're beginning to see or exploring, seeing how we look at our health. And there's so many things that, like, high cholesterol is one of the biggest ones that kind of set me down this road anyway. It's like, I just didn't know what was going on with high cholesterol, like what that even meant. And we'll talk about, oh yeah, my cholesterol is high, so I'm trying to get my number down. And it's like, well, what does the number mean? The number, when our LDL is high, it means that our body has too much cholesterol circulating in the body because the liver and its bile partner are not excreting it. So, fat slows the liver down. It's all the same highway. So this whole, the liver, and then the transport system with the bile, and then excreting through our poop. I've said poop a lot in this episode. It's all the same highway that takes all of the unnecessary things from our body and removes it. So, but it's manifesting in different diseases within our bodies. Okay, so how can we support our livers? The good thing is it's cheap and easy, and these are things like that are very available to us. The first one is taking out sugar or reducing sugar more than fat. I think for some of these ailments, for me, I thought that they were a fat issue, and now I realize that it's really a sugar issue, which of course I already knew that, like, eating too much sugar is bad for us, but I just didn't realize it was connected to so many things, I think. So reducing alcohol consumption and especially processed sugars, and also eating sugars earlier in the day if you're going to. So like fruit and, some sugars are fine in the day, but you want to eat them like lunch or earlier. And then really lean on like proteins and veggies for after lunch. Fiber every day. So of course, lots of fruits and vegetables. This is going to pack your system full of fiber, and it's going to help to push out, if you watch the episode around pushing out and pulling out types of cleansing, this is the pushing it out of your system, pushing out all of these toxins by fiber. Because fiber is going to, once the, old estrogen and cholesterol and everything else that we don't need gets down, goes with the bile and gets down before the bile takes a U-turn, it needs to drop off the toxins, right? And fiber is what is going to have that happen. So lots of fruits and vegetables. I would say cooked fruits and vegetables, depending on what your gut can handle. I mean, raw is great, but it might be harsh on your system, so just check. I mean, you want like 4 or 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day. And if you're going to eat fruits, eating that early in the day versus later. So probably like only really like, I mean, I don't know. I only eat fruit for breakfast. Also adding psyllium husk is really great. I have some here. Psyllium husk, I just bought this. See if, I don't have a spoon or anything, but I'll just show you kind of like what it looks like. It's like sawdust. You take like a teaspoon of it in water and you drink a whole glass of water, and you drink the glass of water and then you drink another big glass of water afterwards. Psyllium husk is great. I paid €9 for that at like a version of Whole Foods Bio Co-op and here, and it's very easy to find. Other fibers, beans, lentils, apples, ground flaxseed. See if your body can take these. Mine, I haven't tried beans in a while, but I love beans, and I haven't been able to eat them for a while because my gut didn't love it. So lentils are typically better than most beans. Like, just aren't as harsh on your stomach. So depending on where you are with gut issues, try adding those in a little bit here and there and see how it works. Oats for breakfast is great. And then we want to move the bile and feed the liver. We want to move the bile and feed the liver. The bile loves bitter stuff. Well, the liver loves bitter stuff, but this is to help produce better and more mobile and stronger bile. I do lemon water before meals, so you can do like half a lemon or like a good portion of a lemon with a little bit of water, and drink that down. Don't drink a lot while you're eating. So like eat your meal and then wait 15 or 20 minutes and then have your drink if you want. Like, you don't want to like have like 3 big glasses of some liquid while you're eating. It loves bitter stuff, so you can get bitters online, which you could take just like a few drops, but also like dandelion leaves, arugula. Arugula is one of the ones that I eat the most. If you eat that at the beginning of your meal, especially, like your bile, your liver and bile production will help. You can also take garlic, which you can just eat garlic, but you want to like smash it up and then let it sit for a little bit before you eat it. You can literally take like full garlic. It's going to make you stinky. So if you don't want to do that, you can get garlic pills online, like supplements. Now Foods has them. They're like, they're very inexpensive. Garlic, turmeric. I put turmeric in my bone broth in the mornings, and depending on what I'm eating, I'll just like sprinkle some turmeric in it. Ginger is really good for this. And then those are like things that I would do so what I do is lemon water. I also take, I do a lot of those things, hydration, lemon water, bitters. And then kind of the next phase, if we really need to like amp it up, I have been taking, because I was doing this parasite cleanse, and that's a lot of work on your liver. Remember, I mean, any cleanse is your liver getting rid of toxins, and that's the main job of the liver. So I've been taking milk thistle, Marie Chandon it's called, or Chardon Marie, that's what it's called in French. But this was like 11 euros, and it's 120 gel tabs. You take one before every meal. So the two like really good natural liver supports are milk thistle and dandelion leaf. Artichoke leaf. And then dandelion tea. If you can get, I mean, all of these things you can order on Amazon, iHerb. You can get it at an herbalist. And so yeah, that is to support the liver. And I will say, there's a lot of talk about liver flushes, and even I have certainly, I've been looking at I'm like, okay, like let's do something more intense now. But it's really, the liver is the cleansing mechanism. So we don't really need to cleanse the liver. Some people might, revolt against me for saying this. But I don't think it's really about cleansing the liver. It's about supporting the liver with all of these really good nutrients, things that it loves, the bitters, the artichoke leaf, garlic, turmeric, psyllium husk. Well, psyllium husk is really not necessarily for the liver, but all of those things that help with bile production and with clearing out the liver, or not clearing out the liver, but supporting the liver, that will have it do its job of cleansing. So there's a whole bunch there about what you could be doing, or just like a rabbit hole to dive into, if you like, especially if you or a loved one is dealing with high cholesterol, heart disease, PCOS, endometriosis, really any kind of hormone things. Thyroid, your thyroid makes the storage version of the hormone. Your liver turns it into the version your cells can actually use. So if your liver is not, performing to its highest potential, then it is not going to turn the hormones that your thyroid makes into the version that your body can use. All of these things: gout, brain fog, bloating, IBS, etc. So if you or someone you love is dealing with those things, maybe looking into a little bit more of just supporting the liver with these inexpensive, unharmful, natural things on a regular basis, because it will take time, is a really good idea. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to keep supporting my liver for sure. I have a great herbalist here, and I had done a little while back, she had an herbal tea that you do for like 3 weeks. You drink it 2 or 3 times a day for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then you can take a little break and then do it again in the future if you want, which I took, and it had a bunch of, it had 3 or 4 different herbs in it that are all around supporting the liver's production. And I'm going to do that again in a future moment. I just finished a cleanse, so I always take some rest in between each thing. But it's just been really eye-opening to see the results the pattern that keeps showing up for all of these diseases that we're dealing with. So let me know in the comments if this is resonating with you, or if you do extra research on one particular ailment. I didn't want to go too deep into any of these because, this channel is really mostly about the challenges that I'm going through. And while certainly I'm finding that supporting my liver is making me feel better, I'm not personally dealing with high cholesterol or PCOS, etc. So didn't want to go too deep into those. And I look forward to hearing what you uncover for yourself and how you feel after a little while of supporting our little friend, the liver. Okay, see you in the next video.